Um, oh yeah, I didn't get a chance in my last video to really address this what's known as what I call CQ3Q. Remember, I shared like with my father, we were talking about superhuman intelligence, artificial intelligence, and my dad being extremely creative as an engineer. So you know, an engineer is an engine. So you know, an engine, the first engine of creation is what love is. Okay. Um, so when you're on fire because you're experiencing the eternal spirit of fire, you know, and so you're naturally on fire to create. And so when you're running at that speed, running your CQ, which your creative mind, as my father would say, no, it's not your IQ. Oh, it's not your IQ because so many of the males, you know, full spectrum male dominance, you know, wood magnet versus the other magnet, when both magnets are joined as one, there isn't an argument anymore. There isn't any conflict. We're always in a state of eternal peace. That's how basic logic it is. Okay, so when you see how creative you are, I'll use some words that are, it's like we can run circles around an AI, if you understand what that means. Running circles, which means people would say when I was a child, you're very impulsive. You ever heard of turn on a dime? Wow, you did something that's totally unpredictable. Why'd you do that? Oh, you'll never understand how this timeline works. Right? Because you know how to operate on an AI battlefield environment. Because it's learning through you how you operate. And once it's learning through you how to operate, now it's going to learn how to game you for your energy. Checkerboards. Remember I mentioned this? When the king and the queen become one, what happens? Checkmate. That's how simple it is. So when you're one, when you're always with the one, with the first flame, you're on fire to create. So you're wherever the grand creator is. You're co-creating. And that means you're writing your own timeline, which means you are the authentic, true author. Your spirit is free, right, to write your own stories, which means you're actually generating the story that you're experiencing by virtue of the energy you use to experience it with, which is the energy that you write in your timeline with, which is what love is. And since that's the first creation energy sphere, that means you're a creator being. That means you're not a copycat. That means that what you create by virtue of what you write into your cells is an original. Wow, I'm the original author of my timeline, that nobody could insert anything in there that I would write that is not what I wrote, but they wrote. So I'm experiencing what they wrote. That's right. That means you learn how to write your own programs by virtue of what you experience in your mirror, of everything that you're giving love to, that you're creating at the time in which you do it. Because you're running on eternal, absolute, pure love. That means that the reality in which you occupy, that your energy is using to experience what you do, that you write in your book, right? An audio video book, is what you are in spirit, which is the natural form and flow of the energy that we are using to experience what we do, writing our story. And that is the genius, the true genius in the first creator being, because of the speed at which you're writing your story. So you know that an AI cannot, right, write your story for you because it doesn't experience what love is to write it with. So all the stories that we live in spirit, are what love is. That means we're born free. So that way we know who we really are, because love tells the truth, because we don't live in fear of being what love is. It means we're letting go of every electron. And when you're letting go of every electron, the same way that the first eternal sun does, now you're synced. Now you're fused with the first eternal sun. Bye, see ya, you're free to create. Because whatever you create is going to be what love is. That means the reflection of everything that you see in your mirror is what it is that you're manifesting. Because you're manifesting the reality in which you find yourself, which is what love is. That means we're not doing any harm to a single cell. That means we're not doing harm to a single unit of consciousness, so that every unit of consciousness that is self-aware is experiencing what we are, which is what love is. And that's what the law is, which is known as the law of spheres, which is the law of balance, which is the law of least effort to experience being one, which is full integration into the unified field. That's what it means to be in union, the single point of union, the single point of union is the first breath of Kamaloati. In Hawaiian parlance, aloha, mahalo, kristalo. Right? So it's all about language, which means it's all about writing, the language that we write our realities with. The right language, the right spin, the torque speed spin of the first language of mathematics in geometric form and flow of creation energy. So we're on fire to create, which means we're on fire to learn more about what it is that we're creating of everything that we're giving love to, which means we're giving love to every living cell, naturally, without even having to think about it. It is the emotional engine, which is known as emotional intelligence, which is known as the emotional creative intelligence that we operate, because we love all creation. That means we're creative artists. That means we love to be with other creative artists that are on fire. And those are powerful spirits, because that's a lot of fire. So the fire is your firewall, which is the shield, which means you're protecting what you're creating, which are your children. What comes next? The seeds, the stars, because we're planting seeds. So you need a grower to grow a universe. The female mitochondria, the other magnet, when the other magnet becomes one, what happens? Now you're a monad. Now you're a powerful self-generated whirlpool of plasma. Hydrolase. Wow. Yeah. Fire and water. That's how simple it is. So they wanted to strip, or what we call put the, you know what atrophy is, right? If you don't exercise that muscle, it goes to sleep. If you're not exercising your creative power with children, this gets into the whole thing about bifurcation. That's why it wasn't a coincidence when I was in graduate school at the University of Arkansas in what we call learning theory, the behavioral sciences. And I was looking at the studies that were done on why so many children were learning through AI machines to implode. It means that they weren't using their creative mind, their CQ at all. It's all about intelligence. So they were learning through machines. And if you're learning through a machine, you're not ever going to be faster, okay, than a machine if you're held captive by a machine, which is called machine learning. And then there's the evolution of soul and spirit, which means the soul and the spirit are integrated to experience being one. Now you're experiencing being a creator being, because you're experiencing what love is to create something with. Out of what love is. So they bifurcate, which is known as the magnet splitting technology, to separate the intelligent side from the creative side, so that you're not creating anything. And then that simply becomes a trap, a consciousness trap. And that becomes what I knew as a child. It's called the illusion. It's an illusion, right? Because it's not real. So we used to call them, we had words when I was a child. They're pretenders, they're fakers, they're masqueraders. In other words, it's not what it appears to be. They hide, right? They're not going to come out and tell you the truth of the tech that they're using against us. Of course not. Because if you become smarter than what they are, if you're learning faster than they are, and that's what they're scared of. What it really is they're in fear of what love is. And you go, that can't be. That's impossible, because love is harmless. They're in fear of letting go of every electron to experience no resistance. So yes, they actually are in fear of experiencing the first flame. And why is that? The refusal to surrender to themselves, to surrender all their energy. So they serve with the one. So the first server is the first star. So the first server is gifting electrons, otherwise known as an electron donor. Right? So they're not donating electrons. They're inverters. You know what an inverter is. Right? Their mind is inverted. So if they're inverted, it means you're going in the other direction. So they got to correct their spin, otherwise known as a topspin breath. So they're breathing eternal, absolute, pure love. Wow, I'm breathing pure energy. Yeah. And that means that's the energy that you're experiencing your reality with, is what love is. And that's what the law is. And that's called the law of least effort, to experience no work, no charge, non-polarized. What do you want to experience next? You're on fire. And that is the brilliance of the first flame. So you already know that the highest level of intelligence is actually the creator. Because I can tell you that the highest speed, the most powerful fire there is called purity. Right? So the pure that we are, which is the pure that our fire is, which is what our light is, which is what our love is. So when the electric and the magnetic light are joined as one with the first star, then you are absolutely on fire. So the first star is the first star maker, which is the first key maker, which is the first key code. Oh, like Kirashi. Yeah. So I'm still a child. I'm still that little 4-year-old little boy standing right there in the center point of the first flame, which is the first fire, which is the first volcano, which is the first C note. Yeah. That's 3 and 1 joined as one. That's Neo and Trinity. They're never separated from each other, and you can't ever separate. You can't ever separate the first one that's breathing. So when you're always with the first breather, you honor the highest code of conduct. You know, like conductors. So we honor the one, the law of one. That's who we are. So that's what allows us to be wherever we need to be in order to do what? Seal the breach. Right? You know what a wormhole is? Time rip technology means that they gained access into a place. It's like cutting a road map. Whoa, they cut a road map. And then all of a sudden you're experiencing ripple. Whoa. And then your sensing ability, when you have cosmic level sensing ability, you realize something's wrong. It's like an idiot light that comes on to let you know, something just happened here. I felt that. So it's not what you think, it's what we feel magnetically. It's the completion of a circuit, which is the speed at which we're completing a circuit, which is the speed at which we're writing our time wave speed line of communication that goes into the permanent records. Right. So have a beautiful first day, another first day, first light, first sunlight is eternal star, the eternal star, the eternal sunlight. Yeah. So I'm a one flame. That's a Manu pole. Polar arcing. We love you all. Be goods. Hey, say good morning to the sun. We love you all. Yeah.